I've got everything double tacked that's in. The fenders, a little bit of advice here from an amateur that doesn't know what he's doing. Make sure you change the settings on your welder before you start welding thinner metal. First weld I did here on the fender, I blew right through. Then I adjusted and I got, oops, sorry about that. Got some good welds, 3 tacks on each end of the fenders. I left this piece up here for now just to help keep it nice and straight. Kind of like I left the C-clamps on the back, and I've left these corner brackets here still installed. I'm going to probably leave those in place while I continue to weld the whole frame. I got the pieces behind the tires welded in, tacked in, and I've cut the last two floor beams. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at bringing 2 pieces of scrap 1x2 up, and then have a piece that I weld here onto the fender that's welded to 2 different spots on there, probably about, I don't know, 10, maybe 12 inches here. Will be this piece, and then they'll weld to that. I'll get all that measurement later, but right now I've got these side pieces tacked in. I just need to fit the last 2 pieces and get them tacked in, and then the whole floor is done. And then once I get those cut and tacked in, it's literally a lot of welding to get this all welded together. And it's going to take me a while because I'm an amateur welder, and I take a little bit longer than most, but feeling pretty good about my welds other than blowing through the hole there in the fender. I quickly readjusted my welder and was fine. Things are coming together. It's looking like I had expected it to look, so things are looking good. We're starting to look like a trailer here. And I've also done some figuring out on the stairs. I had them mocked up yesterday. I think I know how I'm going to weld the supports in for those, and that'll be the first thing I use my riv nut tool for. That'll also be used for the holding tank, which I have on order. It's been shipped. I'm just waiting for that to show up. So I've come out today and I have fitted and welded, or tack welded, both of the 2 cross members here, the last 2 for the floor. So now all the floor joists are in. And then I built these additional brackets here. I have 2 pieces welded down to the main floor frame. Then I've got it just right spacing so I can use another 1x2. That'll be stitch welded. It's just tacked on now, but the fenders are good and solid. I like the way they're sitting. And I think, just looking at what I'm trying to do, this is the heavier 14 gauge. I think I'm going to cut 2 more pieces, one for right here, one for right here, and then I need to drill a couple of new holes in my stairs and use my riv nut tool and possibly get those tacked in and test the stairs out today. The cardboard there on the trailer is, I have been looking at different shower pans, and I wanted to make sure that we were getting a shower pan that would work. Sonia really wanted a tub, but a tub's not going to happen. Now let me show you here. But I drew the wall thickness, wall board, so this is as accurate as I can get before framing. If we got a left drain tub, the main support that reinforces the frame and comes all the way out to the corners in the way. If we get a right drain tub, the main frame rail's in the way. If we go with a center shower drain, we could do it, but I've got to make the P-trap a little extra long to get around the frame rail. But I found a 25 by 30. We were going to go a 24 by 32, but I found a 25 by 30 corner drain, and that is like perfect. It's on the inside of the frame rail. It'll be easier for me to build my protective cage for my drain and my gray tank, so I think we're going to go with that. It's coming along great. I'm really happy with the progress. I feel more comfortable with my welding. I remembered today to readjust my welder when I welded or tack welded the fenders onto the new framework, so I didn't blow any holes in my fender like I did yesterday. But things are coming along. I'm gonna go grab something to eat and then come out and probably cut those 2 pieces for the stairs and possibly look at putting my stairs in. Temporarily, of course, because they'll only be tacked. We got something more for the trailer today. This is a 26-gallon tank. The goal is to mount this up. Under here. If all works out like I want, I'm going to do a elbow here and bring it out in front of the axle. Yep, cool. Another day in the shop. Today's projects are: 1, I'm working on the stairs. I've got 2 of the 4 bolts on the bottom. I've got the rib nuts in place on the back of both of them. I've now mounted it, marked where the front 2 holes need to go, and I'm going to get busy to drill those out, get those rib nuts put in, and then reinstall the stairs with all 4 bolts holding it. Then what I've got is I've got some steel plate. Just happen to have this scrap. Got this from my father-in-law, and I'm going to cut that in half. It's 1/4-inch plate, and I'm going to weld it to the sides here to come down below these 2 holes, and I'm going to drill these holes out. So I've got 2 riv nuts on the bottom of each side holding it together, and then I'll have 2 through bolts going through that 1/4-inch plate that'll be welded up here. So it'll be good solid stairs, and I'm gonna have to tear the stairs out to paint the frame when it's all done anyway. The boo-boo I had was when I put this riv nut in and I went to tighten the bolt appears to have gotten cross thread and has now stripped the riv nut, and it's just spinning. So I'm gonna have to pull that riv nut out and redo that one. But all 4 of them have been in. I've got the plates cut and clamped up, and now we're gonna weld them on. Well, got the side plates tacked on, got all the holes drilled. I don't have all the bolts. When I got this bolt, I bought 2 different sizes because I didn't know what size would fit the holes for the stairs, so I only bought 1 of each. Now that I know what size, I'll go back and buy what I need to finish that up. But the side plates are in. Well, I got my 2 beams cut at 54 inches, and they are tacked in. I mean, I know it's probably overkill. This trailer is rated to 3,500 pounds, and I want my gross vehicle weight, if I can keep everything as light as I'm hoping, with fingers crossed. I'm hoping that my gross vehicle weight is like 34, maybe 3,500. I'm hoping to keep the dry weight right around 2,000. If I calculated right when I bought the steel, if I used every inch of steel, I should be around 700, 750 pounds when the frame is done. And the only way to know for sure is once I get it far enough along. We have a scale here in town. Once I get the frame finished to that degree and painted, I'm probably going to pull it down and weigh it at our scale just to see where I'm at. Another day in the shop. We are going to take the gray tank off for now and not work on it temporarily. We're going to take the stairs off so they're out of the way, because it happens to be a wonderful day outside. It's about 50 degrees, which is pretty warm for the end of January here. And we're going to do some welding. So I've been welding, as you can see, and welding, and then welding some more. And I'm not a good welder. I'm an adequate welder. Some welds I look at and go, wow, I did that. Some of them look pretty good. Others, not so much. I mean, I can see that I'm getting depth to my welds. Ones that are in need, I've gone over multiple times, but I haven't welded anything underneath yet. But I've got the frame welded, all the brackets and C-clamps are off of it, and fenders are good and solid. These supports I built seem to be working out really well. They're good and solid, and the fenders are now welded in and not going anywhere. The frame has really stiffened up. It's a lot more solid than what it was before I put these supports in, and while it was just tack welded, it seemed to have a lot of movement. Now it doesn't. So it is really, really stiffened up, which is good. That I need to create a checklist and pay attention to it and make sure I'm actually working with my checklist. It's been a while since I've videoed anything. Not sure what's changed since I was last filming. I know I've been working on the front here. I've got this all stripped of paint. I've cut the tabs off of that piece. Got that supported. Not exactly sure what those tabs were for, but they are going to be in the way of this project, so they got cut off. But we welded another piece on too, because it was a flat piece, and we welded another piece on here, so it's got support both directions. I got a new front hitch. This one's rated to 5,000 pounds. The old one had some rust on the inside. I'm probably going to clean it up, paint the inside of the old hitch, and keep it as a spare just in case, but bought a new one of those. I actually spent some time and made a checklist. And I'm going to start going down the checklist and working on the stuff that I can get crossed off. And once I get all that done, we'll take a look and see what else needs to be done before we prime and paint. Just got this crossbar tack welded in. And what this is for a spare tire carrier. I'm not 100% sure my weight distribution on this trailer. So what I'm doing is I'm building a forward spare tire holder, and then I'm going to also build one in the back, and I'll have basically two locations I can mount my winch. It'll be a underbelly style spare tire carrier. I have to say, I bought this welding helmet off of Amazon. It's a Yes Welder. I've never owned one that's got an electronic screen before. Super happy with it. It's worked great. Field of view is great. Very, very handy to have while welding. I would recommend that if you are looking into getting into some welding. Been working on the front spare tire holder. Let me get my gloves out of the way. So we got the winch mounted. I'm using two riv nuts on this cross piece that's just been tack welded in. These pieces here are spacers. They allow, because there needs to be a rod from here. I built this little tab here for the rod to come out, and then we're going to have a 3/4 inch nut welded to the end of the rod so I can put a ratchet to it and get it up and down. And then these need to space it so the tire's not up and tight against the bottom of the trailer, or this shaft not come out. So that's what these two pieces here are for. So the front one is ready. I mean, the shaft is something we're going to have to build later. My friend Stan's going to help me out with that. Now that I've got the front figured out and it's sitting in a good spot, I will switch and start working on a back end spare tire holder. Well, I got the front and back spare tire mounts put together. It is amazing to me, and I should know this from my experience working on the house, things take longer than you expect them to. But things are going well. We're checking things off the list. On to the next project on another day. Another day in the shop. I got some cardboard, and I do cardboard aided drafting, and I built myself a inner fender piece that will fit back in here to close off from the floor area up around here and enclose all of this on the inside. Of course, the wall of the trailer will be out here, so all this will be actually inside, and I want that all sealed up so that we have no dust, no dirt, no anything coming from the wheel well area into the trailer. I bought some 18 gauge steel for that purpose, and also I have cut the end plates that I want to put both front and back. I have them cut and sized, and then my good friend Nate has taken them to his metal shop and he's going to bend them for me. He's also got my cardboard design for these inner fenders and a chunk of my 18 gauge steel so we can get those built. So today I'm working on trying to get the gray tank actually mounted in. And what I'm doing is I'm taking flat stock, 1 inch, just standard flat stock, and then after measuring it, I'm bending it. This is the one designed for the back section here, and then I'm going to drill holes and mount it, and there'll be a strap with this main piece here and with this main piece here, but the tank has a taper to it, so if all I did was those, it would want to slide out towards the front. So what I'm going to do on the front is I've got some other pieces that I'm going to weld to the strap that fits on here. They'll come out, come up the front, and then come out to this piece. And then I'm going to drill, there'll be a total of 6 holes and 6 riv nuts to hold that framework in place, to hold the tank in place. I did buy a heat pad for the tank that will be installed as well, so we can turn a switch on inside when it gets really cold and keep our tank from freezing. Well, I got the first strap bent and installed. Now I've got to do the front one and then of course the 2 front supports. And what I'm going to do, I'm not sure what all I need to do to protect the tank, but it's a plastic tank and it's metal strapping. I bought this material to help my daughter with a repair on her car, and I've got leftover. It's 1/8 inch thick closed cell foam, and my intent is once I get all of the straps made for the tank, I'm pulling it all apart because I gotta clean it, paint it, get it all done that way, and then I'm going to line all of the straps and all of the metal framework that the tank will come in contact with this foam so that it's protected against the metal on all sides. So this is my tank strap idea that I've come up with, and this part of the strap here goes up underneath the tank in line with this support here, and then these front pieces here go up to the front because with the taper of the tank it could slide out, so with these coming up in the front of the tank it locks the tank in. So I will have this bracket bolted with 4 bolts on the front of the tank, and then I've got the back tank strap with 2 bolts here holding the back part. So it will have 6 bolts holding it on with all of that framework. Shouldn't be going anywhere. Tank straps are done. Tank is good and solid. These 2 here will keep it from sliding forward and help hold up the weight. And there's a strap here and a strap at the end. Nathan was able to get the front plate and the back plate bent, and what I've had done is 2 folds. It really stiffens up the bottom, and then I'm going to take a scrap piece of 1x2 at a 45-degree angle and put it in here, so some of this will be cut off, but then it'll be welded in place. So it should be good and solid front and back, but it gives me a nice good clean plate up front, closes off the end of those pipes, gives me a really nice finished look. Then I'm going to do the same thing on the back. The back one's just laying back here, and it's going to also have my license plate, and my brake lights are going to be mounted to that. And then the inner fender wells have also been built. I just need to get them in place. Today's goal is to get the inner fender wells and the front and back plates tacked on, so they're ready to be finish welded. Well, got the front plate installed. It's just tack welded now. It will be completely welded later. And we cut the sides off at 45, and then I cut a scrap piece of 1x2 that sits in here. So it's got a lot of strength. I mean, it is really rigid between the folds and the end pieces that are tacked in, and then of course it tacked every few inches on the top. That's a good solid plate. And we have the back plate clamped on. I've got the 45-degree cuts marked on the back, and get this cut, the scrap pieces cut for the ends, get this tacked in, and this will also be where the license plate is mounted and the brake lights. And the back plate tacked in place. I think that looks great. Good and solid, even with tack welds. Of course, it needs to be fully welded, but with the folds in the back just like the front, and the end plates is really good and stiff. And now built these, and these will slide back in there and be tacked into place, and then I'll have my inner fender wells in. First inner fender well tacked in place. It'll help seal off the whole fender area from the floor. Finishes it off really nice in here. I'm really happy with that. What I'm trying to do right now is just get everything that needs to be welded tacked into place, so I can go over this thing with a fine-tooth comb and weld everything, final weld. Well, another day out in the shop working on the Tidewoods. I'm getting things lined out so that I'm pretty close to being able to final weld and then get this frame painted so I can move on to the next step. Today I have cut and installed another support back here. This support, since it's also going to be tied in with these spacers for the spare tire carrier, with it being all welded together, it'll help reinforce the beam that is holding the spare tire. And also my water tank is going to be sitting on the floor in here, so now with this in here, it will help take the load off of this beam for the fresh water. So I got that tacked in and in place. Right now I'm currently working on my stabilizers. Yes, I'm making homemade stabilizers. There's probably different and better ideas out there, but this is what I'm going to try. If it doesn't work, it's something I can take off and we don't have to use, but I'm going to be trying to do my own. These are 30 inches long. I have rounded and welded the ends together so that they've relatively sealed. My welds aren't perfect. And then I have a pivot point up here. I have made my CAD design for my brackets. For the back, I'm going to try to build this bracket here. So it'll sit like that. This is a gusset that'll be welded there just to give it more strength. This will get welded to the frame, and then this will be the pivot bolt location. And then because the front, the frame is angled, these are different sizes, but I'll be making 2 of those, 1 for each side, and that will create my pivot point up in the front. And they're going to be somewhat similar. If you've ever looked at YouTube and people make their own out of like 2x4s and they brace it against the frame and they use a ratchet strap. So I'm going to put an eye bolt on the legs, on the stabilizer legs, and then there'll be a ratchet strap that goes in between to tighten them down. And then on opposing corners, I've got the stabilizer arms that I'm going to hopefully be able to mount. So they'll give me front to back stabilization, while the arms are going to give me side to side stabilization. This is relatively inexpensive. I mean, yes, I'm having to design and build a lot myself, but I've already got 1 of the 4 arms built. It wasn't that hard, and as I do it, I should get better at it. But the 4 pieces, I've got plenty of leftover 1x2 tubing to do this. The stabilizers cost me, I think, something like $50. They weren't that expensive, 60 maybe. So if this works out, I mean, my friend Stan is going to help me out in machining, and he's got some scrap metal. So I'm hoping to be able to build all of my brackets for the stabilizer arms up at his place to little or no cost. And then the arms, I'm going to just use the spare 1x2 that I have. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, I'll look at other options. But this one's not really costing me much. It's costing me time and my own effort. But so working on the stabilizers today. I only have 1 stabilizer arm built so far. What I'm doing is I'm trying to get this first one installed, and then once it's installed, I will start working on, I'll build an arm, I'll weld those brackets in place, mount that arm, build an arm, do that until all 4 of them are done. We'll just work on this till we have all 4 of them mounted, all the mounting tabs tacked on. We'll move on from there. First stabilizer tacked into place. It'll come down, I'll have an eye bolt, have a ratchet strap going between, and then I'm going to put some tabs off of the frame here that I can put a pin through to lock the arms in the upright. While we're traveling down the road, they stay up where they should. So that's what I'm doing, is I'm cutting out. I'm using actually one of my plumbing fittings for my radius. I cut it out with leaving part of the 1x2 in place just to fold over and weld as I go. And then I take the grinder at the end and smooth everything out. Then I'll bend those down as I weld, tack weld at first, and then finish welding, close it off, grind it down, and then take it out to my drill press and drill a hole in for some of the tube steel that I got that fits a 3/8 inch bolt. And that will be tacked in place at the pivot point. Figure that gives me a better pivot point than just drilling through the walls of the 1x2. And then once I get all that done, I will position it and tack the other side of the front stabilizers in place. Well, it's not perfect, but it's good. As you can see, I just bent the tab over and then tacked it down the sides until all the tacking basically completed a weld. The tab, I purposely make it a little bit too long so that I have extra. Then I had to cut that off, but I'll do that to the other end. Drill the pivot hole, tack that piece of metal in, and hopefully here pretty soon we'll be putting the next front stabilizer on. Got all 4 of the stabilizer arms on. I've got the brackets to mount them tack welded on. Again, I'm hoping that later this week we have good weather so I can pull this outside and finish welding all this stuff. I'm going to do these lock arm stabilizers on opposing sides to help front to back stabilization. Think I've got them figured out how it's going to work. Tried clamping everything together and moving it up and down, and it works good. So that's going to work out well. So to finish the stabilizers, then the rear ones, I had to come up with a mounting box. Again, it's just tacked together. The gusset for strength. There's a plate on the back side, but these will pivot as well, and I'll weld tabs onto the frame to pin those up, and then that corner will also have a stabilizer arm. But all 4 stabilizers are on. It was a good day of work. Just got back from a run to the hardware store. So I've got the stabilizer arm actually mounted now. I've got the bolt through the bottom of the stabilizer arm. Got my eye bolts and my ratchet strap. That's the way you tighten the stabilizers. Again, I'm kind of using the idea I've seen on some other YouTube sites where people built their own out of 2x4. I'm just using 1x2 steel. But the front is done, and it really helped solidify. I mean, the trailer is so light right now, I can slide it, but as far as stabilizing, it feels really good and stable now. The back hasn't been tightened yet, but I've got it mounted. The arm is in place, and then basically all I have to do is build some tabs. I've got the pins for the tabs, and what we'll do is drill and prep the tabs, tack weld those in place, and then these pins will go through the tab, and they latch on to themselves, so they will hold the pin, so that will stay on the bottom of the arm and hold the arm up in place while we're traveling. So first set of tabs made. So it's just simple tabs that come down below the arm, and then you'll have the pin. Pull the pin out, the arm comes down, good to go. Get done with your camping trip. Pin them back up, and figure with this style of pin, it shouldn't come loose at all, and that's how it's going to travel. And then when you get where you're going, you drop them down, hook up the ratchet strap, and you've got stabilizers. So today off camera, I have created a notch in the frame. This is for the inlet for our gray tank. The bar was just a little too much in the way, so I cut radius on it to fit the inlet, and then I took some scrap, bent it in place. I've got it tack welded in there. It needs to be finish welded, and there was a hole on this side underneath here that while I had this hole cut, I slid a piece of scrap in, so I'm welding that scrap onto it, but that needs to be finish welded here. But I think where we're at is I just need to spend probably a couple of days just going around and making sure everything is welded up tight, all the welds are good, weld where I missed the first time around. Then it's grind, sand, prime, and paint. Been shipping it away, as you can see in the last couple clips of just welding and welding and welding. I've been tacking a bunch of stuff together, like the spare tire holder for the front and the back, but they hadn't been fully welded in, and I've just been going through and looking at everything that needs to be welded. I was just doing small welds here and there. I had a bad tendency, if I try to do a continuous weld on here, blowing through the sheet metal, so I just do small welds, but lots of them. Did the same on the front and back bumpers, just lots of little welds to hold it together. That way I didn't have to worry about blowing through the sheet metal. Back at it again. I'm going to try to get all of the frame cleaned up, sanded, wire brushed. If I missed anything welding, touch up the welding and just get it all ready and prepped so we can start priming and painting this. Back at it today. We're going to work on getting this thing cleaned up and prepped and ready for some primer. I'm going to take a rag and some paint thinner and go over and just make sure I've got all the oils and greases and any dirt I can off of the metal before I prime it, so it's got a good clean surface for adhesion, and we'll get this cleaned up and ready for primer.
I think we're ready to do some painting. Woohoo!
Well, as you can see, I grossly underestimated the amount of paint it would take to paint this trailer to get it primed. I thought 2 cans, they're bigger cans than normal, with it just being rails. It's amazing how much primer you can go through though. So I guess we're done for the day, and got some running around to do tomorrow. I'll pick up some more cans, a lot more cans, and we'll finish getting this thing primed. New day in the shop. I've gone around and I've hit all of the exposed edges that will be showing on the frame once all the floor and stuff's on. I hit it with 320 grit sandpaper, trying to smooth it out. I'm going to shoot a couple more coats of primer. I'll do another coat of primer, sand it in between, then a final coat of primer so that the frame's ready to go. And I'm just trying to spend a little extra time on the pieces that will be exposed, because I want it to look as good as I can. I know it's not going to look professionally done. I'm okay with that. I'm not a body paint guy, so hopefully in a day or two I'm going to be painting this black, and I'm going to do 2 full coats of black. I don't know if it's a right or wrong. I went with gloss paint. I know gloss paint will show scratches a lot easier and show imperfections easier, but gloss paint also has a much smoother surface and it's easier to keep clean. I think it looks good, so that's what I'm going to do. It'll be a gloss black frame, and then I've got Rust-Oleum heavy duty enamel paint, so hopefully it'll do well. And I'm also probably going to start painting the stabilizer arms today. I'll just rattle can those with the Farm Implement Rust-Oleum black that I have, because it'll match the other paint that I have, and we'll get to work on those. Another day in the shop, working on trying to get the second coat of paint on. Had some runs and stuff I needed to sand. Sanded down a couple of spots to bare metal, so I had to hit it with primer again. Hopefully I won't put any runs in it today. I've got a drop light to help me see better, because I missed a few spots on the first coat. Don't want to do that on the second coat. I'm going to do 3 good coats on the main frame. All the exposed parts that you'll see when the trailer's finished, I'm going to sand between every coat and probably do 4, maybe even 5 coats on those sections. We'll see how those are coming out. I've got a 3rd coat on the stabilizer arms right there hanging up. That's probably all I'm going to do on those for now. But yeah, we'll get to work, get a 2nd coat of paint on this thing and let it dry for another day and come back at it. Got the 3rd coat of paint on the frame, the complete frame. I've been sanding the front bumper, the side rails, and the fenders and the rear bumper between each coat, because they're going to be seen once you get the main RV itself built. So, but overall, I'm pretty darn happy with the way it's coming out. The areas I've been going over a little more careful are really looking good. Yeah, so I think I'm going to go over things with just spotting it, and then I can start putting it back together. That'll be super exciting to actually see it like being finalized going together. And then of course I still have to take the main hitch bar and the hitch connecting plate. I have to take all that apart, clean all that up, paint that separate because it's individual pieces. I want to make sure I get the paint in where it needs to be fully protected. But I'll work on all that here in a little bit. Another day in the shop. Been going around today. I've done spot painting, anything that looked thin, any spot that I think I missed, any crack I didn't seem to get paint in. I touched up all of that. I then went around to the fenders and I seam sealed all of the connections or the seams along the fender to keep dust out of the trailer. Now I need to build a crib for the front here so that I can set the front of the trailer down once I get my wheels and tires back on. Then I can dismantle the tongue and start painting it. Start putting the plastic end caps in the end of the pipes. The front stabilizers are now installed, ready to go, pinned in place, everything's tightened down. Now let's do the back, and then we'll put the shocks on and the stairs on, putting it back together. Well, the battery's dying, so I had to shut the camera off, but front and back stabilizers mounted, all the hardware put on, they're pinned up where they're supposed to be. Shocks are in place, and we got the stairs mounted good and solid. That 1/4-inch plate welded to that tube steel. Very nice solid stairs. Let me get to painting that tongue so we can put that all back together, have a fully working trailer. We got first coat of paint on the tongue. I sanded and did another coat around the outside edges and fenders. We've got the end caps installed at the end of all the open tubes, other than up here because I need to finish painting. And I've got caps for the 3x3 hitch post, the end of the 2x3 main frame rails, and the other 1x2s that are up there. I've got 2 coats. I'm spraying these parts. It's just easier to take them outside. I've got a good place to hang them, so I'm spraying these, same paint, but I got 2 coats on these. I have to wait 48 hours because I can't get to it soon enough. It's either put a second coat on within an hour of the first coat, or you have to wait 48 hours for the second coat. Little extreme differences, but hey, work with what you got. We got a lot done, got a lot put back together. It's pretty exciting to see it at this stage. Can't wait to get that tongue put back together and be able to start towing this thing places. That'll be really cool. I think it's time to put the tongue together. So I've got these plastic caps. When I put them in, they're a little bit too deep, so I have to drill back through so that I have a spot to put the bolt. But we'll get the plastic caps put on, and we'll get this tongue installed, and then we can call the trailer done. Well, there it is. First time being pulled by the new truck. It is together. So I put a heavy duty D-ring on the bottom. This is rated to like 5,000 pounds, 10,000 pound braking strength. It's got both my safety chains, which are rated to 5,000 pounds. We put this on as a dog leash hookup, but we're going to use it for if we have our bikes out. We can lock our bikes to it. Generator out, I can lock my generator to it. Or when we're not towing, I can use it to put the safety cables onto. Got the stabilizers ready to go. Got the stairs mounted and ready to go. Good and solid. Feel real good about the way they sit. I've got plastic end caps in the end of all the open end of the metal pipes, except for these. These are going to be on the inside, and I'm going to fill these with expanding foam to help insulate and build a box around them on the inside, so we don't have that issue. But it is officially done as far as the frame goes. Now I've got the materials to start putting together the floor decking. See them back here in the corner. I've got my hard foam board insulation and my floor decking, and that's going to be the next project. Get that laid, get that installed, get that ready to go, and then we can actually start framing the box of the actual RV. That should be pretty darn exciting. But look at that. We've got a rolling chassis once again. New bolts, new hardware throughout the whole thing. Upgraded to trailer brakes on the axles. Put fenders on it. I mean, we've gone through, and I can't think of anything else we missed on the frame part. Now it's just the rest of it. So stay tuned. There's definitely more to come.